And Gotta show up.
Good evening.
I made it. Did they win? Did they have
This
success?
city's too tough.
Learning experience.
We got freshmen and sophomores.
Must be right quick. All right, let's call this meeting to order, please. May we have a roll call?
Councilwoman Cleveland. Councilman Sachsenheimer.
Here.
Councilman Jackson. Councilman Evans. Councilman Nelson.
Present.
Councilman Hong.
Here.
Councilwoman Rosso.
Here.
Councilwoman Campbell. Here. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And to remind us why we're here, the mission of the City of Normandy is to provide a high level of public service and to grow the community through transparent, accountable, and professional governance. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from the August 8, 2023 regular City Council meeting? So moved. There's a motion. Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the August 24 City Council workshop? So moved.
The,
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any corrections?
maybe there was a discussion of the attendance and early departure of city council meetings. In the ordinance, it also includes late and staying through the closed session. So I just don't know.
It's clear in the ordinance
Okay.
itself, what your concerns are addressed specifically.
In
In the ordinance
Right,
itself.
okay.
Right.
All right, there's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Ms. Kiana, do we have anyone signed up for citizens' comments?
Stacy Parker.
Please. Of course. Of course you could.
It's a good thing.
Yeah, I talked to Chief Sanders a weeks ago, but I wanted to share that the people in my cul-de-sac are very pleased with what they're seeing on the streets from the police. They're seeing people getting pulled over a lot. They're not speeding up and down Bermuda, and things like that. They're watching out for the little kids on Bermuda. So it's just a really good feeling. And we see them, we're starting to wave and everything. And so they wanted me to, the Neighborhood Watch, to express their gratitude that things are beginning to get back to what they used to be. And it was a really close-knit and friendly community. So thank you, Normandy Police and Chief Sanders.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yolanda Watson.
Oh, get up and speak. Yeah, present. Oh, well, I kind of agree with her. It's doing better. I love the sidewalks. They look great.
Wonderful.
And then they put the grass, I'm still watching on that. So I'm not sure about that. The jury's out on that. But I appreciate Karen because she always answers my call. I bug her a lot. And so far, and Mark, you've been good too, so
Well, I
far.
appreciate that.
Yeah, so far, yeah, so, this is my
Can't
first
keep up
meeting.
with her, right?
So, yeah, this is my first meeting, I just wanted to see how everything was. I think I met you before, yeah, I think I have, yeah, so, that's it, that's all I say. I can see we're going back to the way it was back in the day, you know, so that's it.
Getting better.
Yeah, it's getting better.
Renata Jansen.
Good evening. My name is Renata Chandler. I'm the Executive Director at Smart Kids Inc. And tonight I'm inquiring about the property at 7619 Natural Bridge Road. I am requesting that that property be donated to our nonprofit organization. We're a nonprofit that provides tutoring and mentoring services to underserved youth within St. Louis County and St. Louis City. And we're located in Bridgeton, Missouri, and we would like a location here in the city of Normandy. So I don't know where to go from here, but I just wanted to.
Leave some contact information is where.
No problem.
And then you'll be contacted.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, thank you.
That's all.
That's it. Thank you. Report of officers. Oh,
Mr. Mayor.
please, sir.
Yes, my name is Lofer. I live on Kirkland. And for 35 years, I got a curb tree that need attention. I've been taking care of it all these years, but I understand that the city is supposed to do that. And it needs some trimming. 5324. It's a good tree. But,
Thank you.
okay.
What's your last name again?
Loper,
Thank you.
John.
Sir, what ward is
Second.
Thank you, sir. All right. Report of officers. I also was gonna comment on the police because I've been out and about and driving around and seeing them and they're busy. And a large number of our complaints from residents has been speeding cars. And they've been on it. They've been busy and it makes a huge difference. So, again, I would like to also thank our police department for being out there. Secondly, the roundabout, we had our vendor down there again, replacing and adding a lot more plants today. And that thing is looking good. The coneflowers bloomed in the last couple of days and it's just beautiful. Thing really turned out nice. The flower pots look good. That turned out to be a really successful project there. And lastly, I just want to tell everybody, we got a real kick in the pants with some unexpected insurance premiums, and we had a budget largely agreed to and worked out, and in the last couple of weeks, we really had to scramble and make a lot of adjustments and pretty much cuts across the board. I will tell you that we are actively pursuing other companies that could potentially insure us, but for right now, we're stuck with what we've got, and it's gonna be a challenge. So, with that said, I'll move down the line. Is there a report from Ward?
Yeah, I'd also like to thank the police. I live right behind Bermuda School, and they have did a great job of trying to slow the traffic down there. When you drop them off in the morning, a lot of cars have to park on Bermuda Road. And there used to be times where people went pretty fast, but it's starting to get back down to normal. So I wanted to thank the police for that. But that's all I have.
I don't have anything.
David?
I have a few items, actually. First off, it was announced last week, our library here at Natural Bridge, in conjunction with St. Louis County Library, Affinia Healthcare, and a Congresswoman's office, we have a neighborhood service center that is set up now to help with federal emergencies, tax resources, immigration services, grant applications, and document assistance. One of the best examples that was given was one of the Congresswoman's staff members helped a gentleman who had been displaced by the floods last year. He lost all his documentation, all his paperwork, every single shred of federal documentation possible. Turned out that not only was he entitled to assistance for his housing, but he also had 32 years of VA back pay that was unattributed to him, and so they were able to get him that money, which was life-changing. So kudos to our other local officials. We also have, sorry, my computer's not working well. It was announced today that the St. Louis County Library also has a program for applications for a free Chromebook laptop. That is going to be prioritized for those without high-speed internet connection and computer services at home. And then the other item, I'm sorry,
October 1st.
that will be, yes, available, applications will be available online until October 1st. Thank you. And then I had another another topic, but apparently it didn't go through, so I can't speak to that until I come back to that. If I could pass it on to Mr. Nelson.
Okay, I know we're back into Lucas Crossing, our police department. Is that true, sir?
Yes, we have an SRO assigned.
Yes, that's a great thing, and we've partnered I'm with the Gateway Chess League also, with the partner with the Better Family Life and the collaborative, and we're going to start having chess back into the schools. We had it before the pandemic at all the schools, so we're going to be back at Washington, Jefferson, Belnor, and Lucas Crossing. And I know that the mayor's a chess enthusiast, so it'd be nice to see his face in there, pop in and see some of those kids, you know, see the leader of our city. It'd be a good thing for us to do. But we're back in there, and anybody that likes chess, we're going to be there starting in October. I'll be done with tennis at Steams Academy, so we'll be over here at back in Normandy with our chess program. So spread the word, get our kids out there, and we still have a tournament. What's that? November 7th at Lucas Crossing, and as well as December 2nd. Those are chess tournaments with the Gateway Chess League, and you can come to them and see the kids play. They're from all over the city, basically city and county. So that's pretty much all I got to say.
Thank you, Rick.
But thank you very much.
Ward 4.
UMSL's Neighborhood Leadership Fellow program is accepting applications. I just finished the program, and it was actually very good. It does last for 9 months. Full disclosure, you have to give up one Friday night and one Saturday morning. But overall, it was worth it, and everything. So they're accepting applications now, and at the completion, you do receive a stipend if people are interested. So just look it up online.
Thank you. Sam, before I hand it over to you, I have one more item.
May I make?
Oh, go ahead.
The Beyond Housing, the community partnership, had a meeting, and the school district was presenting some issues with attendance and condition of classrooms. And so as a follow-up, the Public Advocacy Committee is working on a document that will be mutually signed to address some issues there. The economic, environmental health is starting to plan for next spring's multi-municipality cleanup, and also a program that will involve the high school making litter signs to post around town there. And then there's the parade. This is homecoming weekend, and it's going to be coming up on Metro Bridge, turning left on Lucas and Hunt, and the school district is asking people to be at the streets and welcome the kids in their parade. 9 o'clock it starts, all the way here.
Thank you.
And if I may, the last item that I had was National Night Out, October 3rd. I do know that St. Vincent's, the Core Collective at St. Vincent's is hosting that in conjunction with that following weekend, which is our jazz festival. Yeah, sorry. I'll let you go.
Yeah,
address that.
Yeah, October 7th, Saturday, our Parks Board went to a lot of effort to plan what is going to be a really nice evening at the old St. Vincent's. It's now called Core Collective, right there at the Wedge. Jazz concert. We're gonna have a couple different bands there. Food truck, beer truck. 6 to 10. It should be a really good time, and I hope everybody turns out for it. Hopefully, this will be the first of an annual event of jazz in the fall. So, Sam, I'll turn it over to you.
Sure. I just want to again, you mentioned it about the insurance and kind of what that does to the budget, which we'll get into tonight in old business and plenty at the workshop on next Thursday on the 28th. Also wanted to just kind of touch on a couple things that some of our boards and commissions are doing. They're doing a lot of good work right now. Obviously, the jazz festivals, all the park board right now. They also just recently submitted a grant that we're waiting to hear back from. Planning and zoning's been doing a lot of good work, and I want to bring to the council's attention in the set of minutes that was provided in the supplement, the question that was referred to planning and zoning regarding short-term rentals, they did get an answer on, and their recommendation is that no ordinance be adopted, but that we use the current ordinances that we have to kind of enforce and regulate. And mostly what they're talking about is certificate of compliance inspections and occupancy permits and requiring that for short-term rentals. Basically, they're saying they don't think that an ordinance is strictly necessary to require occupancy permits for someone to have a short-term rental. And that's more in the minutes, and I'd be happy to talk with anybody if there's any questions about that. And then in addition to that, our historic preservation is also working on submitting a grant to the State Historic Preservation Organization to get a historic preservation plan for the city of Normandy. And there's a resolution in new business tonight to support that grant. So just want to bring those things to your guys' attention, make sure that's going on, and that's all I have.
Thank you. Major Larson, would you like to give the report for the police officers? Or-
I believe I'm waiting for Chief Hughes
Oh,
coordinator
okay.
for some awards.
Well, we'll skip you and go and come back.
Sure.
And then Dennis Yarbrough, our Public Works Director, do you have a report for us this evening?
I don't have anything to add to what I submitted, except for the fact that we found out our leaf blower needs substantial, our leaf vacuum needs some major work on it. It needs about, what's it,
$9,700.
$6,000 to $9,000 worth of work. So we're having that done, and we're working it into next year's budget, because I had no money left for this year.
Yeah.
So that's, that'll be something that Sam probably touches on in our next, our leaf blowers.
All right, thank you.
Can I ask you a question?
Please.
I thought that leaf vac was fixed.
The leaf vac was taken in, the chipper was fixed.
Chipper.
We had the chipper fixed 6 weeks ago or so, 5 weeks ago. And that wasn't real expensive. It was cheap, but it wasn't as bad. And we took the vacuum in with the hope that it was going to need no work, and come to find out that it was not put away in good shape the last time it was used. It had hoses that were broke on it, hoses that were dry rotted. It had brakes that weren't working. It had, what else was on there? The fuel pump was not working.
I'm glad you got it in to get it checked out. That's better than having it break down in the street. And then we don't have it.
Did we get 3 bids?
We'll be good to go in a couple weeks.
Did we get some bids on that?
Not on that, we've used the same company, apparently it's the same company we've used. And so going forward, it was gonna take, because I would've had to have taken it, hooked it up, taken it to another place, and with the brakes not working right, it would've been a danger to me pulling it some more.
How are we gonna be, when it comes to our salt, and are we prepared for winter when we get ready to, for the
We have
winter?
we have plenty of salt, and we've got orders in for a fall order and a spring order, and a late winter order, so we should be good.
So once we get this leaf back together, we'll be able to get these leaves, because they're gonna be falling.
That's the hope. Yes, sir.
Okay. 'Cause we were in bad shape last year.
Thank you.
Was it?
Yeah, we're in bad shape. Yeah. Okay, so,
Our city treasurer, Mr. Ellis, couldn't be here tonight. He submitted.
He's right here, right
Oh, my goodness.
Came in.
He- You told me you weren't gonna be here tonight.
Oh, that was last week. But thankfully, since y'all moved the meeting, I'll move the meeting. All righty. Good evening. Please
Good evening.
forgive my voice. I hope I'm able to make it throughout the whole thing, but we'll see. If not, you all happen to have it in text. So, with a narrative for this month's report, Part A is a summary of the income statement. For the month of July, the city recorded a net income of $141,000, which was revenues of $429,000 compared to expenditures of $288,000. Due to that result, the city realized an overall net income for the fiscal year to date of $344,000, which is revenues of $4.078 million versus expenditures of $3.734 million. For the summary of the general fund balance, Part B, you have general fund unrestricted cash balance as of July 31st of $1.331 million. Then you have general fund board designated funds as of July 31st of $689,000. Unearned revenue of $63,000. Amounts due to general fund from other funds of $281,000. And amounts due from general fund to other funds of $46,000, resulting in a total of $813,000. Next, we have under Part C, income for the general fund. Ideally, the percentage of budget remaining for income at fiscal year end should be at or below 16.7%, which would indicate that the amount of actual income was either the same or more than the budget amount of income. Fortunately, the city has exceeded the budget amount for income for year to date by $16,000 or 0.3% of the total budget amount. Part D under expenditures by department. Conversely, the percentage of budget remaining for expenditures at fiscal year end should be at or above 16.7%, which would indicate that the amount of actual expenditures was either the same or less than the budget amount of expenditures. Unfortunately, the city did spend more than it had budgeted for year to date by just over $95,000 or 2.1% of the total budget amount. However, when it came to individual departments, some fared better in keeping expenses under budget while others did not. Those that were under budget were the court and the parks department. Those that were over budget were the administration, police, and street. And then finally, as a caveat, I was not going to be able to make the December 12th meeting, however, I'm at this meeting. Due to obligations for my day job, please let me know if either of you have any questions in that regard. And so,
Any questions for Mr. Ellis?
So, Mr. Ellis, you said we're over budget in administration, police, and streets.
yes, sir.
So, streets, what do you mean, I don't understand the streets, how we over budget the streets, and we still got a lot of potholes and a lot of stuff out there all over the place.
Well, there was $569,000 budgeted for the entire year. However, there's only been $481,000 spent so far. So what I'm indicating is that of the amount that was budgeted to be spent, we are slightly over
Yes.
the prorated amount, if you will, for the whole year. So there is about maybe $88,000 still remaining for street, but it's just a little bit more than was budgeted across the entire year that has been spent.
Okay, so we do have money for patching the potholes, or there's nothing, none of that's being done. We don't have any potholes and all, they're still all over the place, so we still got money for that.
Well, he can't speak to what we do.
Well, I'm just saying, we got money for that.
Well, yeah, there's still 88,000 still remaining for the entire rest of the year, and that includes, at this point, it would have been August and this month of September. So, that's still remaining.
Yeah, and I'll just add, I know that especially in the past month, there has been quite a bit of potholes. They've been out doing potholes, and we've actually spent quite a bit of money on pothole mix in the past month before it starts to cool down too much here. And like he was saying, it's a prorated amount. So, you know, bills like insurance get paid up in front of, you know, at the beginning of the year. And same thing with payroll. You have some months that we've already been through at this point that have like 3 paycheck months, which means that we'll have more expenditures those months. So the prorating is generally good to see where you're at in the year, but it's, it doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna end up over budget, so.
Okay, is it possible, Mayor, I can direct a question to, Mr. Yarborough?
Well, let's keep on point if we can. I mean, yeah, let's keep the meeting moving.
Okay, well, I'll ask him that.
Yeah, he'll be happy after.
Okay. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yeah,
Thank you, sir. If there's no other questions,
okay.
is there a motion to approve the July 31, 2023 financial report?
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, is Chief here? Yes, she is. You're up, yes.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. This evening, I'm gonna go over the police department report, and then we have a brief presentation for, some awards that some of the officers in the Normandy Police Department received, and we always like to give those, accolades and those praises publicly. The total calls for service between August 1st and September 1st for the Normandy Police Department were 1,757 calls for service. 133 police reports were taken. I don't know if you guys can see the difference, but for the first time in the past 2 years, the police department wrote 200 tickets. We actually wrote 348 tickets in the past 30 calendar days, and I expect that the enforcement, with us being up to full staff for the first time in 10 years, right now we're actually at full staff. I expect we have our traffic units out there that they're moving. I know that you guys can probably see a difference on the main thoroughfares, Bermuda, Florissant Road, Natural Bridge. We've got the radar trailer back in front of the school. We're enforcing the speed limits on the residential streets. The business checks are still up. The business burglaries are down. So business is good for the police department. And then finally, business checks. There were 168 business checks. I also am pleased to report that for the first time in the history of Normandy, we have 2 minority female officers. Officer Moore joined us a couple months ago, and she's been here doing well. She oftentimes gets confused with me. People are like, oh, there's the chief out there. I am out there. But now I have a doppelganger out there. I told her she's in good company. It's never a better person to be confused with. We have 5 female officers in the Normandy Police Department, and we have 5 minority officers. So our diversity and inclusion efforts for recruitment, we're starting to yield and see the results of that. So I just wanted to point those things out and highlight the work that's being done by this police department to make us a more diverse and inclusive agency, considering the population, demographic of the population we serve. Tonight, every year we typically do our award ceremony in April, but with the transition of power and the assuming of the guard and all of the housekeeping issues, getting up to full staff, getting our traffic division moving again, and some of the more essential things, this kind of took a back seat. There were lots of heroic actions that were performed by the officers of this agency and things that people do every day that make me immensely proud as the chief. I tell them all the time, when they do good things, they serve our constituency with bravery and with honor. It makes them look good, but it makes me look good too, so I really appreciate it. There's a couple of people who I wanted to give special recognition to, and those people, I'd like them to come on up to the podium. I think the first one is going to be Corporal Sean Robinson, Detective Corporal. He's got a complex title. Come on up, Sean. So, let's see. Detective Corporal Robinson is being recognized as Officer of the Year for 2022 due to his exemplary performance. In just the year 2022, Detective Corporal Robinson assisted in solving 4 homicides that occurred either within the city limits of the city of Normandy or our contract cities. Of the 4 homicides, they were all of our homicides are cleared. We don't have any unsolved cases. He, along with Detective Sergeant Beekman at the time, investigated 63 assault first cases, and they cleared more than 50% of the assault first cases that they dealt with. And then they have promising leads on the remainder of them. There's just people that are wanted, and we can't necessarily go catch them all. It's not necessarily Pokemon, but they're definitely on our list. He identified individuals, him and Detective Sergeant Beekman worked a very prolific case where there had been more than 200 burglaries that occurred in the St. Louis County metropolitan area. These individuals were a group of young kids that came to our community and burglarized the majority of our businesses in our corridor and the Bell Ridge corridor. They teamed up with St. Louis County and St. Louis City, and I think it's, St. Louis County got the accolade in the press. They got the accolade in the news, but the real crime solving was done by our detective unit. And apprehending those juvenile suspects and actually getting St. Louis County to keep them and actually charge them was the work of Detective Corporal Robinson and Sergeant Beekman at the time. And so when they brought those people to justice, they solved more than 200 burglaries that had occurred in the St. Louis County region. Although Detective Corporal Robinson's work-related achievements are astounding and no small feat, I'd like to speak to a little bit about the kind of person that he is, and I don't need to read from the paper from this because I know this from my heart. Detective Corporal Robinson is a hard worker. He is a go-getter. He's my bull. He's my person that I can put on a task and he'll go get it. He serves as the assistant firearms instructor for the department and oftentimes a mentor to a lot of the young officers that we have here. He's the person that people can go to and ask for advice, and he'll teach them how to go through a door without crossing their feet and without pushing their pistol out too far. He gets on their head and he nitpicks the young people, but they come back to him every time because he's a reliable and viable source. He leads by example. They see that he's a person that they can follow behind, and he's exemplary. I have someone that came up to me and told me that their goals for this year are to be just like their field trainer. I said, well, just be like yourself, but you can take some pointers from him. He is very dependable and reliable. This past year, it's no surprise that we've been short-staffed, and when we need people to come in, it doesn't help that he lives around the corner in Greendale, so he's local to the 24-1. But he gets called in a lot, and he comes in every time, and he doesn't complain. He has been here sometimes 18, 20, 30 hours chasing down cases or filling in on the road. Whenever something bad happens, you can guarantee you're going to see his face, and he's going to come in, and he's not going to ask for anything extra. I think that there's a lot of times he does work that sometimes goes unrecognized or that we may not even be paying him for. But I won't speak on that too long because Charles just said we might be over budget, so we'll leave that alone. He's gained the trust of every employee here, and I have the pleasure of working for him. Because of this, I selected Corporal Sean Robinson to be the 2022 Officer of the Year for the Normandy Police Department. Congratulations, Sean. Thank you for your hard work. So here at the Normandy Police Department, whenever someone's recognized, you start to get the swag on your shirt. I can't change my shirt, I have too much swag. So I don't even put it on anymore, I just leave it on my coat. But if they keep it up at this rate, they're gonna catch up in no time. We are also going to present you with a plaque. Take a picture. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Sean.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations.
Now we're just trying to get Sean to compete for sergeant, so when you see him, put some pressure on him. He's ready. He's ready. He keeps those footballs aired up in the trunk of his car to play with kids in the community at a whim. He's an invaluable resource. We couldn't replace him if we tried. The next person yes, sir.
Play with us all the time.
He's the man. Sean is the man.
That's Coach Sean.
He's gained the trust of the kids inside the building and those in the community. The next person that I'd like to call up is presently now Captain Beekman, and you will understand why he was promoted to captain in just a moment. But at the time, he was Sergeant Beekman. Come on up, Captain Beekman. Looking good in that white shirt, sir. Captain John Beekman was selected by me to receive the Excellence in Leadership for 2022 award. The Excellence in Leadership award goes to a supervisor, a member of our staff. Our supervisors don't get recognized for anything, typically. The officers just have to worry about their bubble, and the supervisors have to worry about all the bubbles, so we call it SUDS at that point. And Captain Beekman did a great job in 2022 dealing with all the SUDS. In 2022, it's no surprise that during that year we had a lot of transitions in our staff, a lot of turnover. We had a lot of young officers that came in from the police academy, and it's easy to get burnt out on this career very quickly because of the constraints that the job leaves on you. And one of the things I saw really early on was that a lot of the officers would hang out down at Bell Ridge. And I thought they were just hanging out down there and not hang out down here because I'd kick them out the station. And I found out that Beekman had opened up a makeshift counseling service down there for our staff members. A lot of times they would go down and they would talk to Beekman about their concerns, their fears. If they had a difficult case, they could go down there and they could get assistance from Captain Beekman with regard to the caseload that they had and get good direction on how to pursue those cases as professional policemen, because we're very proud of the quality of work that we put out. But one of the biggest things that I want to talk about is the fact that Captain Beekman inherited a mess. Unbeknownst to us, our life crime trailer that was down at Public Works had snakes inside of it, and our life crime trailer is the trailer that keeps all of the life crime information that we're required to keep by law. And when he opened those doors, it was a mess. Our vault was a mess, and just due to bad housekeeping in the past, he inherited a bureau that was essentially a mess. The very first thing he did was actually physically cleaned up house and went in there and battled snakes and bought shelving and organized life crime stuff. And they battled that snake 3 or 4 times. It kept coming back in and they kept throwing it out. Once is enough for me. But they literally cleaned house, and then he started to figuratively clean house by going through all of the old cases. And last year, one of the things that Sergeant Beekman discovered was that for several years, the Normandy Police Department had been seizing weapons. Our evidence was overflowing, and we had more than 365 guns that needed to be destroyed. Guns that we had taken from criminal offenders over the past decade that typically we would have chipped up, but we hadn't destroyed guns in over a decade. And these things were just taking up space in our vault. And he organized a process to get those guns destroyed, but it wasn't because he didn't go through every single solitary case and find all the guns that could be destroyed by hand. Sometimes old antiquated records, things that didn't have a computer trail, just paper trails, and chase them down to get rid of all the things that we could get rid of and make space, and then clean up the things that were required by law to keep, to bring us back into good standing with the state of Missouri so we could have confidence if they walked in these doors that we are following the best practices. And that wasn't because he wasn't putting in his personal time. He was here late nights, he was here early hours, and because of his good relationship with these young people, when they would come in to complain, he would say, well, hey, why don't you come do a project with me and we'll talk about it then. So he got a lot of free man hours out of the people too, and I appreciate that because over budget. One of the things that I love about Captain Beekman is his positive can-do attitude. He walks into everything with a smile, and oftentimes in the morning when I'm kind of feeling down, he says to me, good morning, in a chipper way that kind of brightens my spirits and reminds me that it's not all doom and gloom and there are silver linings. Captain Beekman not only led our police department towards all of the stats that you heard me as the director of the Bureau give the accolades to Detective Corporal Robinson for, but he also spent the last year investigating and solving cases in the Bureau, completing various administrative tasks and filling in for supervisors and patrolmen on the road when they would call off. Meaning that as a high-level supervisor, if a patrolman called off for work, he would come in and he would work a patrol shift. He answers calls, he writes police reports, he takes sudden deaths, and there's no work that this man will not do. He truly leads by example by being a boots-on-the-ground representative, and he's shown the people here what excellence in leadership looks like. I couldn't pick a better candidate to receive the Excellence in Leadership Award than Detective Sergeant Beekman, who now has earned a promotion, and he has to wear a white shirt. Tell him it's slimming. I think he looks great. I got the podium. He didn't get the podium. But yes, he gets to wear the white shirt because he exemplifies excellence in leadership. I'm very proud of the staff that I have here. I'm very blessed and fortunate. I couldn't pick a better group of people to support me. And I want to recognize you today. I'm sorry it's a little bit late,
but nobody leads like you lead, and I would just hope that you would continue to lead by example. Thank you for everything that you do. The community appreciates you.
It's my first time.
And he actually gets a nice fancy class award. Thank you.
All right.
With the exception of those things,
Congratulations. Thank you.
Coach.
the last thing I wanted to discuss really quickly, we had one more award, but the person's not here to receive it, but I still want to speak to it. Officer Robert Wagner, he left Normandy Police Department just a few months ago, 3 months ago. And he was actually, a lot of people are familiar, he was actually shot in the line of duty. He went to Franklin County, Lincoln County? Lincoln County. And he was shot in the line of duty, but I'm pleased to report that he is going to make it. He is at home, he's on the mend, he's recovering. And we went out there and we provided my child with as much assistance as we could. We gave him a full escort down to SLU where he had a life-saving surgery, and he's at home recovering. But Officer Wagner, just before he left, I was able to give him his life-saving award. Officer Wagner responded to a call to assist a Belmore unit that wasn't responding on the radio, and when he arrived, Belmore had an older officer that had been tackled by a suspect and was being assaulted by the suspect. And Officer Wagner, because of his quick response time, his willingness to go assist a neighboring agency, and commitment to the job, he didn't balk at all. When he heard he wasn't responding, he said, "Hey, I'll go check on him." And when he got there, that officer was under attack. He deployed his department-issued taser and was able to take the suspect into custody without injury to the suspect and without further injury to the officer. So Officer Wagner was recognized just before he left for the life-saving award for what he did down in Belmore. He went above and beyond the call of duty for what any Normandy officer would be required to give, let alone a neighboring agency. And so it's an exemplary testament to the mutual aid agreement that we have with everyone around us and to his bravery. You know, it's 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, he's not sleeping, he's working, and he's out there doing a good job. So I want to recognize Officer Wagner. He already got his credentials, he already got his first pin, he got his plaques and everything before he left. But I wanted to take this moment to just say, you know, congratulations to Officer Wagner, and our prayers are with him, and we hope he continues to recover well.
Thank you. Moving on, we've got some old business to address. First item, Council Bill 2316, second reading. I'm not looking for a motion for a second reading. It's unfinished business, so that's why it's on the agenda. But I'd like to take the final vote for the employee pay plan when we take the final vote for the budget at the workshop on, when is our workshop? 28th. September 28th workshop. So it's on, that's the reason it's unresolved issue. But we said we wanted to pass the pay plan with the budget, and I think we need to remain committed to that.
I agree too.
The second item is Council Bill 2318. Again, I don't want to have a second reading because of all the changes that were made after we got that obscene insurance bill that we got. But Sam wrote a report. He made some changes. Are there some things you'd like to highlight, Sam, about the budget that were changed?
Right, yeah, in the supplemental report that went out to council, it kind of lays out where, how we're adjusting to the increased premium. First, I'll just note that one of the biggest change is that we broke out the premium by department. So if it's, you know, the premium for the public works vehicle is now in the public works department, and the premium for patrol vehicles are now in the police department, as well as a specific liability can be assigned to a certain department, it's assigned. So previously, for I guess, you know, the past 20+ years, it's always, all the insurance has just been in administration. But with the increased premium, one, it should have been broken out the whole time, it's just a better way of doing it. But we did go ahead and make that change as a part of it. In addition, so I will go through some of the big changes. I won't go through every bullet point here. In the previous draft budget that was presented to council, we had $61,000 that was going to be transferred out of the general fund into the street improvement fund. This was set to be a quarter of our motor vehicle sales tax. That transfer is no longer in the budget. We'll just do our street improvement projects with the money that we have in our street improvement fund already, and the road and bridge tax that we collect every year, which is a property tax, but the motor vehicle sales tax will stay in the general fund to help pay for the public works department. There were some revisions to revenue. There's a court contract renewal that's before the council tonight. If that goes through, they've already voted yes on the contract. Then we will see an increase in revenue for court services that we render to other cities. And beyond that, there were some minor revisions in property tax and some of the other taxes, but nothing too significant of note. Going department by department in the general fund, on personnel expenses, we decreased it by almost $30,000 or $31,000 from the last draft budget. Part of this is we've got some revised rates from our retirement contribution program, loggers. This is actually good news. Our rates for logger contributions for non-police employee went down significantly from about 4% of what they make to like 0.5%, I think. Yeah. And so, and that's because, the reason is because we've had a lot of turnover and there's not been a lot of people in the administration side of things retiring. So that our fund with loggers is very well funded, and so we don't have to contribute a lot. So that was a big savings that wasn't previously written into the budget. And then also, the last draft of the budget that was at the August workshop, there was an additional part-time position that we were hoping to add, and we will not be adding that given in light of the increase in insurance premiums. And then just generally, we were able to make some various cuts to operational expenses, about $10,000, but a lot of the stuff in the administration budget is, it's mostly salaries, and it's pretty straightforward with professional fees as well, that we really can't cut too much. On the police department side, Chief Sanders, I think she said that we're at full staffing, and we are at full staffing because we're having to freeze, I believe it's 3 positions.
Yes.
So, and that's a significant savings. We don't want to have to do it, and hopefully next year we can find a new carrier and have better, get a better rate, then we can reopen those positions back up. So that's the largest savings in the police department. You'll notice on just like a bottom line budget, theirs increased most significantly from breaking out the insurance from just being in the administration to the police department. And so it looks like their expenditures went way up, and part of it is just breaking that out. And I'd be happy to go into this more, but that's not necessarily speaking to the risk that the police department poses. Had some, pretty lengthy conversations with the underwriter, and it's not so much about the risk that's currently posed as to just some of the larger claims that we've had in the past 10 years, and just trying to, them honestly, they're just trying to recoup their money. And so they, some of that landed on the police department, some of it landed on just the police fleet to insure the vehicles. So,
Is this a time we could talk or ask questions?
yeah, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
So I'm kind of concerned, it's in the budget and to get the foreman, although there's less people at Public Works, but then we're shorting the police. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, I mean, there were cuts to the Public Works Department either, but it's pretty bare bones as it is. And also, the mayor and Dennis and I had a conversation about this. We really think not having a supervisor would be counterproductive. So what we're trying to do to make sure our guys are safer and more productive, and if we're gonna have a slimmer team, I mean, it's only gonna be 2 guys, the foreman and Dennis. I mean, it's not a large department now that we don't have sanitation. Yes, but these are of course decisions that we want the council input as well, but that's what was proposed.
And Sam, for our audience, could you confirm just how much our insurance premium went up by?
On the raw number,
Yeah.
well, it was 146,000 last year, and this is for liability. It's the quote that they gave us was 535,000.
Just so that we have a good idea, because when we see that it's gone up by 265%, like
Yeah.
265% of $10 isn't much, but this is like, as the mayor said, it's obscene.
It is obscene. It's a $400,000 bill that we had didn't anticipate at all. And we're 2 weeks from adopting a budget, and we get this insurance premium that just killed us.
So can we attest that to claims that's been filed over the last year or two?
You said 10 years?
It depends on, so liability, they generally look at 10 years or if there's an open claim. Of course, it's public knowledge, there was a class action against the city, and that's the largest driver. I mean, there was a settlement pool that was, it was about $1 million, and so, the insurance or deductible on that was, I think, $500, but it's kind of different, because when you think about your car insurance, you have a total wreck or a total loss in your personal life. Sometimes you're even happy to get checked if the car was a piece of crap. But when you're talking about, like, as a city or even a corporate entity, budgeting is really, or insurance is really more of a budgeting tool. It helps you spread out the costs over time. The insurance companies exist to make a profit, so if you have a big loss, you will end up paying for it over time.
So basically you said 265% our insurance went up.
Liability insurance, yeah.
For 1 year. And question, full staff, are we still 28 officers, or is it 30 full staff?
So it would have, in the previous draft budget, it actually would have been, I think, it would have been 31 with 29 regular, 1 school resource officer,
Right.
and then 1 detached to the DEA. And now we're looking at basically 26 in the proper department, 1 school resource officer.
So we're still attaining our accreditation, right?
Yes, absolutely.
You mentioned somewhere about workman's comp. Did we get that information financially? I mean, how do we do a budget when it's still out there and we don't know?
Right, and I'm honestly quite frustrated with our broker on that, but we will have the number by the end of the week. And nice thing about workers' comp is that it's a lot more predictable as far as what your rate is going to be. It's a lot more regulated than liability insurance, and there's a much shorter window on what on what they can consider when calculating your premium. For liability, it could be 10+ years. Workers' comp, it's a 3-year window.
So if they don't get it to us by the deadline for the budget,
We'll have
to
it.
reamend
We'll
that.
have it.
Uh, Sam, are we gonna have the documentation for the speed humps by the 27th or 28th? Pardon me.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I still wanna, unless there's any other questions about the insurance, okay. And then I will absolutely get to that.
So the municipal, pool insurance companies that you mentioned, are you gonna be meeting with them like soon, or is that something like?
Yeah, so, right now we're with, MoPerm is our insurance carrier. They have been since, I think, 1987. They are a like quasi-governmental entity. They were established by state statute. Their board is appointed by the governor, and they exist to provide liability insurance to political subdivisions, school districts. And the thing about MoPerm is that they have to insure you as long as you, basically they have to write a policy for you if you request, with a few caveats, but generally they have to. And so they can't just drop you. Now, there's other alternatives to MoPerm. One, there's private insurance carriers like Travelers and, Liberty Mutual and things like that. They do write some policies for cities and police departments. But there are, what you're referring to are some pools that are established, that municipalities get together and basically they form their own pool of money and have insurance people help administer it. The two big ones in Missouri are called MIRMA, and there's one called Slate. MIRMA's statewide, Slate is St. Louis Area Insurance Trust. I'm setting up a meeting with Slate, but to answer your question, and we did talk to a broker about getting on a different carrier, and I think we will have, I'm pretty confident that we can get a new carrier in the next year if we keep our claims down. But what the broker kind of told us, and is we will need another year, and we'll probably require site visits, and they'll want to come out. And so just with how the timeline of this is, and the fact that we have to have insurance, we will be entering into this policy with MoPerm for the next year. And then I think when the 24-25 year comes around, I think we'll have a good shot at getting a better rate.
So at this point, we're just high risk.
I mean, the underwriter may say that. I don't, again, they look at, what their claims have paid out over the past 10 years versus what you've paid in. And it is, part of it is the risk that they assess, and then part of it is basically they've lost a lot of money on the city and they're looking to recoup some of that.
So it's high risk.
Well, they're slightly different, but sure.
Did not hear you, Kevin. Go ahead.
Okay, I just wanted to add something in reference to the insurance. It's say due to the loss history of the city. Can you explain that a little bit more as far as the loss history? I know you said something about 10 years. Can you give a bit more information as far as the loss history? What is that contain?
Yeah, so loss history is, it's the loss history, and I could pull up some of the numbers. I do want to avoid speaking about specific losses.
Right.
Some of them are open litigation, and some of them, there's settlements involved.
We can talk about like how many we had in that 10 minutes.
I don't have that in front of me right now, but generally the loss history is made up of, from every fender bender that got reported to insurance to every lawsuit.
Okay.
And we're talking about liability, so this doesn't include work comp insurance.
Okay.
But this is basically lawsuits and vehicle crashes, and our history is, again, the big driver, and this is public, is the class action lawsuit settlement that I think that it's since been closed out, but that was paid out, I think, about a year and a half ago, so.
So Sam, real quick, is it fair to say that having like revised policies and procedures, having things like an audit for the first time in 12 years, you know, having a dedicated system of checks and balances, would those be things that would hopefully eventually bring our premiums down with either MoPerm or other insurance carriers?
Yeah, probably, well, I don't know for sure I would probably say probably not with MoPerm, because they're looking to recoup their funds. But when I say that I'm confident that we will find a better rate with a new carrier for the next insurance year, it's because, I can say that because of that. I mean,
Sure.
And I said, you know, they'll have to conduct site visits and things like that. But I think the fact that we can point to that we basically have, you know, all new leadership. We have a fiscal audit for the first time in a long time. We have new policies, new procedures, and we're starting to reap the benefits of that. The carrier will see that and say, this is actually a great chance for me to probably write a slighter higher premium than I normally would have to. And,
Win-win for both them and
yeah,
us.
probably. And then also, like for instance, I don't want to speak on it too much, but like Slate is the St. Louis insurance pool, and they have certain requirements, like you have to have the city administrator or city manager and things like that. And so we now fulfill those requirements where, you know, 3 years ago we didn't, as well as a bunch of other requirements that they have for professional government, which we're, you know, checking those boxes more and more every day, so.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and then you had a question on speed bumps, unless there's anything else. So, as far as, I want to speak about the speed bumps and capital improvements generally, because, you know, we have restricted funds through different sales taxes. There's some funds that we have to spend, so they're not locked up or affected as much by this. So, it's not currently in this one, but if you look at the capital improvement budget on the supplement, which is page 9, you'll see there that into streets is written $10,000. That wasn't there before. That's gonna help us get the work started on our leaf back right away. That way there's no interruption of service when the leaves start turning very, very soon. And then I'm also gonna propose that between now and the workshop, that we write in at least another $5,000 to get capital improvements for speed bumps. And I had a conversation with Councilman Saxonheimer and Councilman Cleveland the other day about the desire for speed bumps, especially in their ward and some of the citizens. And so I will, Dennis and I are working on collecting some information. In the meantime, I'm going to suggest that we write some into the capital improvement budget, probably around $5,000.
What number is that on the budget there?
So right now it's not on there because this
Oh,
went
it's
out
not.
before I talked to you the other day.
Okay.
But I'm going to suggest adding another 500 to street,
Okay.
which would be 20-1220, and then we'll bring all the information about what kind of speed bumps we're talking about, the costs associated with it, and then the council can talk about where they want to go, and whether that conversation drags out longer, we'll at least know what to write into the budget, or if the council decides that it's not a priority right now. That's your decision, but I do have a request from 2 members, so I'm gonna get that information and make sure that we have it for the workshop.
For the workshop, okay, thank you.
But that was, Sam, wasn't there other wards that requested speed bumps also?
Yeah, so there was,
That should've.
yeah, there was a community development block
Right,
grant.
right.
Yeah. Based on how, some of the bids we received, like for the bids we received earlier for a couple of, dangerous building demolitions, those bids are coming in higher because of inflation. And so that's, honestly, it's gonna eat up all the speed bump money. I can't in good faith tell you we're gonna have funds for the speed bumps. And frankly, we've been waiting so long for the CDBG monies to come from. I think we just need to talk about, getting them out of our capital improvement fund. Because if it, is an improvement that will last over 2 years, and it's an improvement to our streets, it qualifies as a capital improvement, so.
So you're saying we'll eliminate the speed bumps?
No, I'm saying we're gonna do it with our own money as opposed to the grant money.
Okay,
That,
Just wanna get it straight.
it will get done a lot faster that way.
just want to get it straight. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
So is the tree fund, then the match still untouched?
Yeah, I did not touch the hazardous tree because we submitted that grant, and it's another good way to, the whole point of the hazardous tree and the grant is to limit liability. So, the $15,000 is still in there, and that should get us the match. To be clear, the match is 90% up to 25,000, so we can still reduce that budget if we wanted to and get less work done and still, you know, have that 90% match. But kind of the plan that Dennis and I and the guys at Beyond Housing have come up with, we will really get caught up, and I'm not sure for certain, but the gentleman who spoke about the tree on Kirkland, that may be in the scope of work for what we have planned out.
What about sidewalks?
The sidewalk project is done on community development block grant as far as any new sidewalk projects. There's
But
nothing-
other wards, dangerous sidewalks, where would that money come from?
Right now, it's not in the budget. That's something that the council decided that they wanted to do. It could come out of different places. It could come out of the general fund, it could come out of the capital improvement fund, or it could come out of the street improvement fund, because it's about transportation.
So we had an inventory of streets, but did we have an inventory of sidewalks? Do we know where they did?
We are about to put out the request for qualifications to find the firm to do the streets. That should actually probably go out by the end of the week. But no, we're not necessarily, I hadn't planned, or there's nothing cooking on getting an assessment of our sidewalks. It is something we could talk to the firm about when they're doing the street assessment, but there's a cost with everything,
Right.
so.
But if it's a small cost that's associated with it already, then.
Right. And generally, I mean, it may not require a professional to assess sidewalks. I mean, it's pretty easy to determine when there's a tripping hazard or when that sidewalk doesn't really seem like it's working anymore. So, whereas streets, you've got sub-layers and different types, it's really good to get the professionals involved.
Sam, wasn't there an engineering firm that came in and independently did a survey of the sidewalks before the sidewalks were done this time?
Yes, but it was only one subdivision, and
It was only one subdivision.
It was for the CDBG project.
So I'd like to ask a question.
Sure.
I'm getting calls constantly about the potholes. Spoke about it earlier, and just wanted to direct this to you, Sam. We got $95,000 left from the street funds, or whatever you said earlier, for potholes, 95,000 or something like that?
Well, no, that's for the spending for the whole department.
For the whole department, okay. So, the funds for streets, like we were just speaking about getting funds from what, CGB funds or whatever that we just said?
CDBG.
So how could we, and we need to do this because by spring, it's gonna cost us more money if we don't get those potholes before winter, in the neighborhood, and there's quite a lot of them. I'm getting these calls from residents.
Sure.
And I'm trying to answer these questions, and I have to ask you. I couldn't ask Mr. Yarborough earlier, but we need to figure out how we're going to tackle these potholes before winter. it's gonna cost us a lot of money in the spring if we don't patch them up, dry, what do you call it, Mr. Arbor?
We're using a product now that's called asphalt rock. It's working really nice where we've tried it.
Well, you know, and I'll have that conversation with Dennis and Sam and make
Well,
sure that,
here's-
that those will be addressed.
Yeah, I mean, we do have some pothole mix now, and we now have a new work order system, so if you let me know where the bad pothole is that we're missing, let us know, and we'll put a work order in and we'll get it fixed.
Ward three's got a lot.
Well,
I'll
just
email
them with an address.
Yeah, just let me know if there's a
Okay.
specific one, even if we can't afford to fix it, or we don't, it's too big to fix, we'll at least have it documented
Gotcha.
that we need to address it.
I'll send that to you.
As far as the general problem of potholes, we have not invested in our streets for the past 15 years. The last street assessment we had done was 2005. Since then, most of the investment has been chip and seal, which is mostly just a top layer kind of
I understand,
solution.
but it's a safety issue.
I-
We do have Prop P money. We got police officers that have to drive those streets also.
I absolutely agree, and so that's why we're gonna spend the money to do the street assessment. And we're using our CDBG funds to reduce some of our streets. And, we're spending what we have in the street improvement fund. But that's the reason why we have so many potholes, is because we frankly neglected our streets. And it comes to a point, where if the street is failing, do you address that, or do you stop this other street that's on the verge of failing? And those are some of the tough decisions that we're gonna have to make, to make sure that we keep up and catch up. But that's what the street assessment board's gonna help make. It's gonna help us make those decisions. I will say,
Excuse me,
just
Sam,
on-
can you speak on that chip seal? You was getting ready to go on to the chip seal that we had done a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
Which is failing. Every street that I go down is failing now. It was a waste of money. We shouldn't have got it done, but.
I'm not a civil engineering expert, but I mean, and I would probably sound like a fool if I started talking about, the different types of,
Do we have
overlays.
do we have a target date to start doing
I'll
something?
talk about it's failing.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's keep on budget. The budget is the issue, and we've gotta commit, commit the conversation to the budget issue and what dollars we have to commit to that. Now, as Sam said, the first thing we're gonna do is get a professional street assessment and make decisions as to the priorities with the money, with the dollars that we've got.
One last thing on potholes, we do have money in the budget to fill potholes next year. If you'll see
Right.
10784 at street repairs,
Yes.
and that's basically to buy the mix.
I'll send you some pictures.
Absolutely, I'd appreciate that.
All right, thank you. Next item under old business, Council Bill 23-9, second reading. An ordinance of the city of Normandy, Missouri, repealing and readopting chapter 235, article 1 of the Normandy.
Mayor, I apologize if I may. The items 1 and 2 from old business, there does need to be a motion to postpone those to the September 28th workshop.
Yeah, if I could have a motion to postpone, second reading of Council Bill 2316 until the September 28th, workshop.
16 and 18 both, that could be a single motion.
I'll reword the motion. Is there a motion to postpone Council Bill 2316 and Council Bill 2318 to the September 28 workshop?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, moving on, Council Bill 2319, second reading. An ordinance of the city of Normandy, Missouri, repealing and readopting chapter 235, article 1 of the Normandy City Code regarding solid waste collection. We've discussed this at 3 meetings. Is there, I don't know that there's anything to discuss, but if there's a motion to adopt Council Bill 2319.
I'll make a motion to adopt.
We have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Roll call vote, please.
Councilwoman Cleveland? Yes. Councilman Sachsenheimer?
Yes.
Councilman Jackson?
Yes.
Councilman Evans?
Yes.
Councilman Nelson?
Yes.
Councilman Hong?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rosso?
Yes.
Councilwoman Campbell? No.
Ayes have it, motion carries. Council Bill 2320, second reading. An ordinance of the city, I'm sorry?
Would you like the ordinance number?
Have to have a number.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, that was a bill number. Yes. Council, Bill 2319 is adopted as ordinance number
788.
788. Thank you. Well, I'm working off the agenda instead of getting down to the bill itself. All right. Council Bill 23-20, second reading. An ordinance of the City of Normandy, Missouri, amending the City of Normandy Personnel Policy Manual regarding payment of holiday pay. Is there a motion to adopt Bill number 23-20? We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Any concerns, comments?
This is just amendment for the holidays?
This is for the patrol officers, how they collect their holidays.
Okay.
Since they have to work holidays. There's a motion and a second. Can I have a roll call vote, please?
Councilwoman Cleveland? Yes. Councilman Sachsenheimer?
Yes.
Councilman Jackson?
You said
Yes.
Councilman Nelson? Oh, I'm
Yes.
sorry. Councilman Evans?
yes.
Councilman Hong?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rosso?
Yes.
Councilwoman Campbell? Yes.
The ayes have it. Bill 23-20 is adopted as ordinance number
789.
789. Thank you. Council Bill 23-21, second reading. An ordinance of the City of Normandy, Missouri, amending Section 500.110 regarding the City Council attendance policy. Is there a motion to adopt Bill number 23-21?
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Councilwoman Cleveland? Yes. Councilman Sachsenheimer?
Yes.
Councilman Jackson?
Yes.
Councilman Evans?
Yes.
Councilman Nelson?
Yes.
Councilman Hong?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rosso?
No.
Councilwoman Campbell? No.
Ayes have it. Bill 23-21 is adopted as ordinance number 790. Some new business. Council Bill 23-22, first reading. An ordinance of the City of Missouri, City of Normandy, Missouri, amending Chapter 390 of the Normandy City Code regarding the parking of commercial vehicles. Is there a motion to accept the first reading of Council Bill 23-22?
I will make a motion.
I will second that motion.
Any comments and concerns? I can give some explanation behind this. I was advised by the police department that we already have a commercial vehicle parking ordinance. It was difficult to enforce. There was a phrase in there that if the commercial vehicle is routinely used for personal use, then it was exempt from the bill. And people simply had to say, I routinely use this for
Yeah, I
personal use.
use it every day.
And so it was just impossible to enforce. So what this bill does allow is for you to have one commercial vehicle licensed under 12,000, at or under 12,000 pounds in your driveway. That's a pickup truck. You can have one commercial pickup truck in your driveway. With that exception, there's absolutely no commercial vehicle parking on the street. And that's what this does.
Yeah.
Period, yeah. And this is also making it fair, right, to the homeowners who have taken the measures to have enclosed garages for their commercial
Right.
vehicles, right?
So now, what about, does this, for vehicles that are on private property but are not gated, they have to be,
But are not what?
If they're on private property, but they have a garage, but they're also.
If the vehicle's enclosed in a garage, we have nothing to say.
But if you can see it from the
If
street.
you can see it, and it's a commercial vehicle, you may have one licensed at 12,000 pounds, only one. If there's a second one there, you're in violation. If it's residential zone. Is that accurate, Andy?
That is accurate, yes.
Thank you.
The only other thing I would add, you said there's absolutely no commercial vehicles on the street. There is provisions for loading and unloading, but
Right.
I think we understood what you meant.
Overnight parking.
Right, and it's limited to the time of completion of the loading or unloading or whatever the job is, or 8 hours, whichever is longer. So there's not gonna be, yeah, there's a cap on how long a commercial vehicle can be parked in the street.
Yeah, it shouldn't be overnight.
Right.
All right, we have a motion and a second to accept the first reading of Council Bill 23-22. All in favor?
Hey, excuse me, Mayor. I wanna
Sure,
say
go
one
ahead.
thing. Cause there was a situation in Kirkwood years ago where a guy had commercial vehicle parked. It said 24 hours, it can't be in one spot. This guy would move it 6 feet or 8 feet, and that meant it wasn't in that same spot.
Right, and ours is not loaded.
It's not, okay.
Yeah. It's limited to loading and unloading.
No, okay, got you. No matter where it is.
Right.
Got you. Thank you.
All right. We have a first and a second to accept the first reading. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Missing a resolution. There it is.
Is there a number for that?
That's a first reading, so we have to read it, yeah.
Okay.
Resolution 23-31. A resolution of the City of Normandy, Missouri, authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement to provide court services to the City of Country Club Hills, which we are already doing. We're renewing a contract with them and cleaning it up largely. Everybody had a chance to read it. Is there a motion to adopt Resolution 23-31?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any comments, questions?
Just a quick question.
Sure.
Are there police services provided through St. Louis County?
They have their own police department.
Okay. I wasn't sure. Thank you. That's all.
Is there a motion to adopt? Oh, did you make a motion to adopt Resolution 2331?
Yeah.
Oh, there was a motion and a second.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Ayes have it, motion carries. Resolution 23-32. A resolution of the City of Normandy, Missouri approving the Historic Preservation Commission grant application to the State Historic Preservation Office. And this is work that's been done by the Historic Commission. And Sam touched on it. This is to get an assessment and recommendations as to how to protect our historic assets, including the village of Glen Echo Park, which is going to be Normandy. This is a commitment we made to Glen Echo during that consolidation process, that we would do this. And I was made to understand by Sam today, this is a grant that we pay 40%, but a large part of our 40% can be in-kind work, legwork. So it won't cost a great deal to do this, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, is there a motion to adopt Resolution 23-32?
Motion.
Oh, second.
Any other comments, questions?
Yeah, so is there a cap on that provision of up to 40% of budget funds, whether through cash or in-kind contributions? Are we, have we promised any significant amount to our neighbors?
I'm looking at the budget estimate now.
Honestly, Doug Aiken might be better to speak on this than I. But so I think that there is a grant cap on what the project can be and what we want. We just want to hire a consultant And so it shouldn't cost anywhere near the grant cap, and it is in the budget right now to do this. And,
Okay, okay. I'm not looking to like hobble or, impede the historic preservation society.
No,
plan.
it's a good
It's just-
question. So the grant value right now, we have it estimated, that's gonna cost about $16,000 for the entire project. And then we will get 60%, actually, it's gonna cost a little bit more than that, but $16,000 in cash, not including in kind. And we'll get a large portion of that, probably somewhere around $10,000 in reimbursed to the grant.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Resolution 23-22 is adopted. For the next one, we don't need a resolution, we need a motion regarding the disposition of some of our old records. And Kiana, can you give a little background on who you've been working with and how this came about?
Sure. After I attended the Spring Institute for the City Clerks Association, there was a representative from the local records office from the Secretary of State who spoke about some of the programs that they have and assistance programs, like having an archivist come out and help identify records that have met retention. So I did enlist the help of the local records office, and we had an archivist, a professional archivist, come out and assist with identifying records that are currently in storage right now that have met retention through the local government retention schedule provided by the Secretary of State's office, or Secretary of State. And the list that you're seeing before you with the seal of the Secretary of State is the disposition list of the items that she and I have identified that have met retention and are ready to be disposed of, so that we can make space for new documents that have to be stored until they meet retention. So my recommendation is to, right now we've tackled a lot of the city documents. The next phase, and we're in the hopes of, now that we know what that process looks like, she will return and help us go through police records that have a very different retention schedule, specific to the type of report is there, and that's gonna take a lot longer to do. But this will at least give us some space to move over some items that are being stored elsewhere or not really being stored securely, and we can now put them in a better space. So that is my recommendation before you this evening. But I would like to note that the recommendation is also contingent upon the acceptance of the 2022 audit. Because a lot of the items that are listed in the disposition list would only be recommended for disposition once the completion of the audit has happened.
And I just want to point out that Kiana did a lot of great work for this, and what she said about having the archivist come out, that was at no cost to the city. And we basically got like 16 hours of a professional out here just going through our records. It saved us a ton of time, and it was really awesome what she's able to do with all this. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So what I'll be looking for is a motion to approve the disposal of certain city records as described on the August 22 disposition list provided from the Secretary of State. We have a motion. Is there a second?
Motion.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries. All right. Acceptance of the fiscal 2022 audit, which we don't have a hard copy of, so we're not in a position to accept it. I'll look for a motion to postpone this acceptance until the 2028 workshop.
I'll make a motion.
The September 28 workshop.
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion.
Second it.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Or
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Has anyone else signed up for citizens' comments? There's so few people here, I'll open the floor. That's okay, go ahead.
And what about Zoom with citizen comments? How do we?
Well, I'll ask and see if there is.
Come on.
No,
I didn't see the sheets.
oh, do you have a comment to make?
Yes, please.
Please.
Hello, everyone. Joyce McGrath, 7727 Nokomis. Two things I just want to know. USDA is being built right there, right? That's a good thing. But did we get anything in exchange? Is it bringing any jobs or, you know,
Yeah,
what does
I'll
normally
be happy
get out
to
of
address
that?
that. It's gonna bring in the summer 2025, approximately 60 to 80 full-time high-paying jobs.
Okay.
Secondly, Sam, what was the number that we got for the?
Yeah, so we did offer tax abatement on the property for the development, and there was a payment in lieu of taxes, so it wasn't a full abatement. And it's a 20-year abatement, so after that, there will be a large increase to all the political subdivisions because of the increased property tax. And then the city, we got, for the tax abatement, we were able to obtain a $240,000 issuance fee. That's just some of the monetary benefits. I think the tax abatement on its face is a plus for the city for the economic development value on Natural Bridge.
Great. Plus for me, because I had to drive all the way to Springfield, I had to get I work for the government, so I had to get my ID renewed, I had to go all the way to Springfield. That ain't good. Okay. The other thing, at one time on your agenda was the 2022 audit. Did we ever complete that?
We
And I
did.
came in a little late, so you
We
couldn't
did,
discuss it.
and we had a narrative, we had a presentation via Zoom from the agency that did the audit. We're gonna have hard copy by the August 28th workshop that we're going to approve.
Okay.
And the recording of that meeting
Should be available.
is on the website,
Oh, it
so you
is?
could hear her, yeah. That's-
So you could YouTube it.
Okay,
That's great.
and then just a general public announcement, I would love everybody in this audience to attend the 24-1 community conference. It'll be Saturday, October 21st. It'll be at UMSL in the MSC. So you'll get more information. I think they'll be sending hard copies to your mail, or you may get email. Or you can go on 24-1 website and you'll see the e-bike, so. He's trying to attend. It's free, you'll get attendance prizes.
Thank
That
you.
is all.
Thank you, Mr. Graff. Thank you.
All right. If there's no one else, what I'm going to ask for is a motion to go into closed session to address a real estate issue, and I promise it's gonna take only about 2 minutes.
Okay,
Okay.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Well, before we make a motion,
There's a motion and a second, go ahead.
I like to present you with something. I had a very rookie meeting tonight, and excuse my tardiness, but normally did pretty good. We had like 82% of the kids participate. But for you coming up, dragging the field, making sure the kids playing, I want to present you with this Red Bell Rookies 20th anniversary shirt.
Oh, my goodness.
All right.
Good job, good job.
Go right ahead.
Thank you, I
Just want to say
appreciate that.
thanks a lot. You know, with your help,
Yeah.
the kids was able to play this year. So,
Oh,
and the field hasn't been drug in years, and you drug it 6 times this year. So,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate
Thank you.
Yeah.
Did we close the
Good
meeting?
stuff.
I won't start talking.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Who was the second?
Who seconded the motion to
I
go
did,
into
second.
closed session?
Okay, thank you. All right, Councilwoman Cleveland?
Yes.
Councilman Sachsenheimer?
Yes.
Councilman Jackson?
Yes.
Councilman Evans?
Yes.
Councilman Nelson?
Yes.
Councilman Hahn?
Yes.
Councilwoman Russo?
Yes.
Councilwoman Campbell?
Yes. All right.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thanks for coming,
Oh my
everyone.
gosh.
Yeah, I would've